Having stuck to their guns following protests and unrest in Tshwane after the announcement of Thoko Didiza as the region's mayoral candidate, the African National Congress's prospects of maintaining their presence and support in the country's major metros has been questioned by some in the run-up to the August 3rd elections. Question is, will ANC retain the major metros of Gauteng? And we are joined this evening to discuss the situation with the ANC's Provincial Secretary, Mr. Hope Papo. Pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Good evening, Tim.
Well, one thought that the ANC's plans and organizational makeup in the lead up to the August the 3rd local government elections is going to be smooth sailing. Not many anticipated that you were going to manage the fallout that you had in Tshwane. What happened?
We had to intervene as a provincial executive committee when we received names from the regional executive committee, which in our view were not going to unite our members in the region. Secondly, Tshwane is a very important metro. We had to decide that we rather have somebody who is at the national level who lives in Tshwane, like Comrade Thoko Didiza, so that all our members, when looking at that intervention, they can actually accept. So some of the violence which happened there had nothing to do with Comrade Thoko. It was about perceptions and fears which were unfounded, that people who are working in the expanded public works programs are going to lose their jobs if the mayor changes, as if the jobs are a mayor's jobs. People who work in the city as public servants are going to lose their jobs. Business contracts which are there are going to be cancelled. Clearly, there's no government which operates like that.
But what is it that would have confused? These are ANC members, right? For them to think that they must follow individuals instead of follow the broader thinking of the ANC.
Some of the people who work in, number of them who work in expanded public works and publics are not ANC members. Clearly, some of the individuals who we think have got other interests might have misled people. There was also a tinge of tribalism, which we reject as the ANC, that because somebody happened to have a Nguni background cannot lead Tshwane. Tshwane is a multicultural city, multi-tribe, so you cannot even begin to use tribalism as a basis of rejecting.
But the point I'm making is that, including the violence that erupted as a result of this, right? And the contestation seemingly is about the candidate you've chosen for the mayor's position in Tshwane, that this comes from the ANC members anyway.
Obviously, Tshwane is one of our biggest regions. We think the behavior of some of those members is completely out of order. That's why we say any member of the ANC who has been caught up in this violence and the police actually find prima facie evidence, they must be charged. And the ANC will not be part of that.
What happened? Are there factions in Tshwane anyway? Because we hear that the chairperson of the region, the mayor, the current mayor, Ramokgopa, and his deputy are at each other's throats, or at least their factions are.
There are obviously members who wanted Comrade Sputla to be mayor, and others wanted the deputy chair, Comrade Mapiti, to be mayor. And our view is that the fact that the PEC felt that the fact that the chair is excluded from the names, but also it's not only that. We thought that it's important that we send a signal to our supporters and sympathizers in Tshwane that we take the city very seriously by deploying a person with immense experience in government since 1994, Comrade Thoko, who served as a deputy minister, who served as a minister, who served now as a house chair, has been in government since 1994 and did a lot of good work. Has been a member of the National Executive Committee, currently is a member. We think that it was unfortunate what happened, and as the ANC we wish to apologize to the people of Tshwane, all of them, for what has happened. That's why we are saying anybody who's arrested by the police will not be supported by the African National Congress. We are happy that there have been people who have been charged for looting. There's a suspect who has been arrested for the murder of one of our members. We want the other people who have died in the violence investigations to continue. But our view is that our team there in Tshwane, even if there was this unfortunate violence which happened, have done a lot in terms of the city. and we are prepared to do more in the next 5 years.
Are you going to take any disciplinary action against members who may be holding positions within the branches or even the region? Any disciplinary action against them that are found to have been behind the violence that led to the destruction and even the killings of people in the process?
It's one of the issues we have been discussing in the as office bearers. We want to also take it to the working committee so that we can make a decision. But our view is that we have to we are gravitating towards that direction. But we need to have. We're still actually also gathering facts ourselves in terms of people who might have organized. So we are actually looking at that issue is being discussed, and I think that's the direction we'll move in to take action.
And you know, you can be frank with me. Hope we've known each other for a long time. Were you taken by surprise as the ANC leadership, whether in the province or nationally? Because the events...
No, we're not taken by surprise.
They seem to have overtaken everybody who was behind the changes to the nominations list and the announcements thereof.
We knew from the list conference of Tshwane, from their BGMs and general meetings which they've held, that there is a situation which is difficult and very problematic in Tshwane. Some of the branch general meetings were punctuated by intimidation, violence, and disruptions. At the list conference itself, we had to adjourn for quite some time to verify the nominations from the branches. And I was actually convening the list conference. So we knew that there are problems in relation to the nominations. But branches do not actually participate in the nominations of a mayor. They only participate in the nominations of a ward candidate. It's the regional executive committee. So the leadership of the province and the national, it was a courtesy briefing to BECs. Unfortunately, that day, more people who were not even BECs were at that venue. We had to abandon and cancel that meeting because you can't call branch executive committee and sit up and sit with people who are not BECs, those who are not ANC members in a gathering. So we were not caught by surprise. But I think the problem the only problem was the violence. We would have expected people to have their view, express opinions which are different. But that's why we are saying those who've imposed violence on the residents of Tshwane must be dealt with by the police.
Well, let's talk about the overall preparations of the ANC in Gauteng. Are you ready now for the 3rd of August? Because, you know, even the campaigning, I suppose, dealing with the violence and all of those things, took your attention away from the messaging and the kind of typical promises that during campaign time should be made by aspirant candidates.
We have 5 regions in Gauteng. Campaigning has been going on even during that week when there were problems in Tshwane. Door-to-door work has been continuing. By the way, even last year we were doing door-to-door. That's why we managed to attract so many people to go and register in our communities. We were continuing after the launch of the manifesto. We started to explain the manifesto in various areas of Gauteng. So Tshwane is not the only area. Even Tshwane, not all areas were affected by the violence. So our volunteers on the ground were continuing to explain our manifesto to the people of Gauteng. So we are confident that on the 3rd of August, we will retain all the towns and metros, districts and metros, including Midvaal, which is winnable.
Which is now under the control of the DA, right?
Yes, but it's a winnable town. So we are confident that with all the difficulties which might have been there, particularly in Tshwane, we'll retain.
Well, there was no violence in Ekurhuleni, but was there any particular reason why the current mayor, Mondli Gungubela, is not being returned as a candidate?
Because the REC felt that the chair should actually be back in the region and nominated him unanimously. And they made it clear that it's nothing to do with underperformance of the current mayor. So it means that the current mayor is still on the list. We have to decide whether he remains in the city or he's given other responsibilities in the organization. He will not be lost to the organization, including the current mayor of Tshwane.
All right. Now, the ANC talks a lot about careerism and that, you know, politics should not necessarily be a career. You'll be deployed this and the other. But in a way, when you talk about deployment within the political system, it means when when you become a candidate for any position, then you can plan to live your life within the political system of the ANC, isn't it?
I think it is a career. Politics is a career, but the problem is that it cannot be at what the organization means that careerism. The problem of career is when you think that if it's not me, nobody else should be. That's where the problem starts.
Yeah.
But it's a career. But if after 5 years the mandate is not renewed, we must look at something else. Yourself. You must look at something else.
But I mean, and it's not only in Gauteng. We've seen this happen throughout the country, right? That people who stand as councillors or are nominated, and there are people who are fighting to get in. They also want to be part of that. What do you think makes people want to fight to lead other people? Actually, I find that personally very odd that somebody must fight to lead people.
I think we must also understand that in majority of our wards, the process went very well. Most of our wards, both branch general meetings, public meetings, they went very well. We had problems in more or less 30 wards, different forms of, but in majority of our wards, the process went well. It's very, very funny, you are right. I mean, you can't force yourself to be a public representative. If your party says somebody else must be, you can't say, no, it must be me, or nobody else will be. It's a very odd, it's a form of, some form of ill-discipline in a way, that you can force yourself to be a public representative. It's a contract for 5 years in the main. After 5 years, it may be renewed, it may not be renewed.
Well, and I'm asking the question because the impression created, at least in some of the public members' eyes, is that there must be something going on with these positions, that why there's something you are going to get, that's why you'll fight to the death, just to get in there so you are closer to the resources.
In terms, for example, in Gauteng metros, councillors don't even sit in committees which influence contracts of the municipalities. It might be, but also it's a very strenuous job to be a ward councillor, because people will expect you to help them with everything, family problems.
Well, and they come to your house if things are not sorted out.
Yes, everything. So it's very funny that somebody wants to fight to have a strenuous job.
Yes. That's very odd.
It's a very odd situation. It's a very difficult job because some of the things what councillors are expected to do are not even within their purview or within their powers. Home affairs.
With all the issues that we've discussed up to now, what do you think the ANC, you've said you're going to win every district and metro, right, in Gauteng, at least that's the intention, on the basis of what?
We made a commitment around improvement of infrastructure in our province, and majority of our municipalities have dealt with improvement of infrastructure, both social, health facilities, roads, transport, which is actually linked to the city region to connect them. Egoruleni has got a bus rapid rail system, Tshwane has, Joburg have. There are plans to actually improve the transport system of West Rand and the Vaal, Sidibeng. We have actually the number of people who are accessing piped water in Gauteng has dramatically gone up. Electricity has gone up. We are now electrifying even informal settlements, particularly those which are going to be formalized. Those who are not going to be formalized themselves will be temporary measures, so that when they go to areas, we are now, our municipalities are giving stands with services so that people can actually build for themselves. So Gauteng generally, it continues to attract a lot of people because there are opportunities. Even with the economic depression we have, there are a lot of opportunities which Gauteng has. Is the biggest contributor to GDP. The bulk of the tax is paid by Gauteng. Our municipalities have actually achieved unqualified audits.
You're facing a mountain here because, you know, the EFF is a new kid on the block and they seem to be very popular in Gauteng and they're increasing their support. And the analysts and the observers are saying, where is their support going to come from? And the generally held view is that they're going to eat into ANC's support. What's your view about that?
I think generally in the ANC, we focus on what we've managed to do in the last 5 to 20 years and what we will do. There are many parties which come along the way, they make a lot of noise. We're not undermining that noise, But our focus should be to explain to our people what we've managed to do in the last 5 to 20 years and our commitments in the manifesto for the next 5 years. Our view is that let them try, it's a democracy, but we are focusing on our message, on the achievements of the last 5 to 20 years and the next 5 years.
And how do you rate the preparations of the ANC in the lead up to these elections, the forthcoming ones, particularly in the area of Tshwane? Briefly, how do you rate the way it was managed?
As we speak now, our volunteers are on the ground. In every community, you'll see the elephant called the African National Congress, removing every obstacle, not in a literal sense, along the way. The momentum is actually now picking up. The elephant called the African National Congress will emerge victorious.
Hope Papo, thank you very much for talking to us. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Tim.
That's the Secretary of the ANC in Gauteng Province talking about the developments, the situation in Tshwane, as well as the preparations by the ANC in the lead up to the 3rd of August local government elections. Remember, you share your thoughts with us at Tim Modise or write to us. And the address, our email address is tonightwithtimmodise@gmail.com.